This is a subject I feel like everyone who makes music needs to hear. It's human nature to look for a shortcut when it comes to how to get big in the music business. This has been happening forever. I want you to realize the tools and the places you would promote your music have changed throughout the years, but this same concept that everyone always wants to look for the shortcut has always existed. And guess who knows that? Scammers know it, fake companies know it, who will take your money and then you get screwed. Now, let me give you an example. This is somebody that I work with who unfortunately just got screwed, and it makes a perfect video for us to discuss what happened and how you can avoid it. All right, because I had a conversation with this guy from the heart. When I heard this, it breaks my heart to hear this kind of shit, but I know it'll keep happening. So we needed to make a video about it. All right, I'm not going to share who the guy is, but it could happen to anybody. So I want you guys to realize that he's not alone. I know a couple other people who, no matter what I say, will never believe what I'm saying because they want to believe there's a shortcut. Without them believing there's a shortcut, they look at it like it's impossible to make it. So I have to let everybody know that this is not the case. Just listen to this, okay? Basically, I'm going to read this stuff out loud to you guys. This is the point right here. Long story short, I have to re-upload this EP to Spotify because he mistakenly used a fake promo service to get streams. So that was a little dejecting, he's saying, but trying to take it all in stride. And then he compliments me. He says he sees me as a mentor, motivator, yada, yada. I appreciate all this. I don't mean to yada over it. I just don't want to waste your time on the compliments. He values my advice and, he's good at that kind of thing. All right. So now look, listen to my response to what he just told me. I appreciate the kind words. Happy to help. I believe in your talent as a musician and a songwriter wholeheartedly, because I do. I think this guy's very, very talented. In the same way that a Trent Reznor is very, very talented. This guy writes very unique, cool stuff. And it's different. And I love stuff that's different. So to me, this is amazing stuff. And I tell him, Now, I also say, I know that if we keep working together, we'll continue to put out the best music possible, and then we both have the best possible chances of the world hearing what I hear in how talented he is, okay? It sucks about being duped by a streaming service, but best move is to just put the stuff out using CD Baby, that's the one I use, or DistroKid, or TuneCore. These are 3 services that will put your stuff out on all these platforms, and they're not fake services, so you don't have to worry about them taking your money and getting nothing back or getting screwed. Okay, so those are my recommendations. And then this is what I say. This is the important part. Everybody focus on this. Never pay for streams. In my opinion, that's always been a bad move. It's got to be organic growth or it doesn't mean shit. And then he responds, a lot of these fake promos advertise as organic. I was just a little naive. I won't ever do that again. Okay, so I ask, what was the name of the company? He tells me it's called Pitch Us. I said, if you don't mind me asking, how much did you pay them? He says, maybe a little over $300. I said, wow, because that's a lot of money. And they just stole your money and did nothing, I asked? And he said, yes. They said they could help me get my EP back up with numbers and streams back, but I didn't trust them at that point. No, obviously, right? DistroKid told me to re-upload the EP only to Spotify, so that's what he's doing now. So what happened here is, and I said, wow, so Spotify removed your album because the Spotify streams this company got you were fake? In other words, I've heard this before. Spotify is cracking down on fake streams, and when they see something logically fake, if they can think your stuff being streamed is not real, they can tell if it's bots or not, they will pull it. And that's exactly what happened. And he lost all his stream count. He lost anything he had that could have been real, combined with that fake stream stuff, all got pulled. So his whole thing is now not there. If he re-uploads it again, he never gets the real people back he never gets those real stream counts back. He's got to start from 0. Okay. And then he said, yes. I said, damn. Now I have to reiterate because he says, and a lot of these companies will try to trick you by saying the words organic growth. They know that that's what you should be looking for. So they write it. They know what you guys want. And I said, damn, when I say organic growth is the only way, organic means not paying for streams in any way, shape, or form. If you pay for streams, it's not real. And this is the point I want everybody to understand. Let me give you a little history. Back in the day when MySpace was created, MySpace was a platform where bands were getting picked up and signed based on the amount of friends that they had, which was basically like the original way to count followers and stuff like that. And MySpace was a huge platform for music, and there was a point where the friend count meant a lot. Well, guess what happened? After that stuff starts to mean a lot, it doesn't take long for the hackers to come in and figure out a way around the system. Then they start charging people to get friends. And then once this happens, the companies that originally thought this was a worthwhile thing to look at as a realistic count of if a band was worthy of, being signed or being put on a tour, they just move the goalpost. Then that becomes not a legit way to tell a band is real anymore. But guess what? There's lag time between when the artists, all the normal people, realize that this isn't a logical way that they can actually use to benefit their career. The artist doesn't figure this out, that the companies are no longer using this as a model to judge things until after they spend a ton of money. You got to realize this. When people, this has always been true in the music business. If you have enough money, and I'm not talking about normal people money, I'm talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars, then you can get away with figuring out how to buy the streams in a way that makes sense, because I'm not so convinced that big major artists don't do that to this day. They figure out how much advertising they need to put in to generate how many streams, and then it's just a business model. They spend 2 million, they get back 3 million, they make $1 million. But for normal people, it's never gonna work like that, ever. This doesn't stop everyone who's a normal person from thinking that if they spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, that they're going to get something. They're never going to get anything from this because, like I'm telling you, they just move the goalpost. The people that understand this shit's hacked, it's once that happens, it means nothing. That's why Spotify is changing the rules on what's real and what's not, and they'll take off your stuff if it's not real. But also, it changes the perception of that meaning anything. In other words, streams don't mean anything anymore. That's not a thing you can use to decide if you are being a successful artist or not. So don't spend money on streams. It makes no sense. Let me go back to this conversation. This is after I paid for the Leave a Legacy extra from DistroKid, where they say they'll never delete an album. And that's not what happened here, because it was out of their hands. And that's what he's saying, because DistroKid didn't delete his album. Spotify deleted the album because it was a fake thing. So I don't know what this Leave a Legacy thing is, but every time I've ever uploaded anything on CD Baby, there's never a clause that says they can remove it. So I don't know what that is. DistroKid says they remove it after a certain time if you don't pay more. That sounds weird to me, but whatever. Like I said, I use CD Baby. And the reason I use CD Baby, I want you guys to know, because I've been doing this a long, 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 long time. The beginning for independent artists, when we could get on Apple Music, on iTunes, on any of these streaming sites, the beginning, CD Baby was the only one that allowed independent artists access to that stuff. So literally, you'd send your stuff in and they would sell your stuff online. You'd send CDs in to CD Baby. That's why they're called that, because they started by being a company that literally housed and stored music, countless CDs. If you sold more, they'd ask for more. You'd supply them more. They were the first distributor for independent artists. So they may have a bad rap now for whatever reason. Maybe their publicity and their PR sucks, or whoever did what, screwed it up. I don't know. I don't think it's bad, because I'm still coming from this place of they were the first, man. So because they're the first, I have some weird loyalty to them. I know that back in the day, if you weren't a major label artist, you couldn't distribute your shit. But if you used CD Baby, you could. And no one else was doing it when they started. So everybody else is doing it now with the TuneCore and the DistroKid. None of that stuff existed back then. All right. So if you've been doing this long enough, that's why people like me like CD Baby, because we remember. Now, let's keep it moving. So he then talks about that he learned a lot from that. He won't ever attempt to do it again. He's wanting to focus on getting as many live gigs as he can in the coming months, focusing on word of mouth and engagement. A lot of people talk about this, and I think that is a great idea. But let me read you what I wrote here, because I put a little thought into it before I wrote it. Sucks you fell victim to this scam, but you are not alone. So many people fall for this type of scam. It's human nature to assume there's a shortcut and look for it. The truth is, it doesn't exist. The only thing that really works today is being relentless. You have to be relentless with the amount of music you put out. You can reach millions of people overnight if something catches fire, just by uploading a song. When you play shows, and I say playing shows is a good idea to a certain degree, but it still only reaches those in attendance. And unfortunately for unknown artists, that number is always small. So even word of mouth by a few people that saw you is a few people that saw you spreading the word of mouth. That can only be as great. It's an exponential factor of how many people were there, how many people did they tell, unless a video gets taken and something lucky happens that the video blows up and you go viral or something. I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm just saying that's a long shot. All right. So, and trying to count on the amount of people there to spread the word is also a long shot as an unknown artist, because you don't know how many shows I've played in my lifetime where there was like nobody there. And I played a lot of shows. You can never really predict when there's going to be people there. I played shows where the place was packed, and the second we started plugging our stuff in to take the stage, before we even played a note, the room would empty out. Because the people that came to see that other band, they're friends with that other band. They don't even want to be there. They're not real music fans. They're just there for that other band. It's not like the way it was years and years and years ago, when they had no way to be exposed to great music except by being around it in the room, and there it is. Now people think, if they don't already know about it from hearing it a million times on all these social media platforms, they don't think it's worth a shit. So unless they recognize your name, or you're a heartthrob when you take the stage, no one's going to stand there and watch you. Like, what are we talking about here? So let's keep it moving, all right? The rest of this stuff. I'm saying you have to be relentless with the amount of music you put out. You can reach millions of people overnight if something catches fire just by uploading a song. Playing shows is a good idea to a certain degree, but it still only reaches those in attendance. And unfortunately for unknown artists, that number is always small. But it's good to play live to develop songs and see what works and become comfortable on stage, which is also ultimately necessary. So I'm not diminishing the value of that, but you got to realize, if you're playing in some little town somewhere and you're just playing shows after shows after shows, and there's like very few people in the attendance except for locals, and there's just the people that go to that bar anyway, the thought of getting discovered there is a needle in a freaking haystack, man. It's the same amount of chances you probably have of making your video go viral. So it literally tiny percentage. Now, I'm saying, but putting out constant music, much more than you think you need to put out, is the only way to really break through today. Got to do that in the face. I'm saying you've got to do that in the face of getting very few views and no likes. No, you know what I'm saying? No likes, no subscriptions, no views. If you simply do that for long enough time, for a long enough period, and the music is great, then you will be noticed eventually. And that's the thing, right? Because of the unknown time frame and the need to persistently believe in yourself in the face of no reward and continue to produce music, only those who want it more than anything will be able to stomach that. That's how you win today. This may be lost on a lot of people, because people hear that and they think, oh, I'm not willing to do that. Well, then this ain't for you. This doesn't just apply to music. It applies to everything. You know how hard it is to make it in like the bodybuilding community today? I work out, so I some of my videos that get thrown to my feed are always about guys who lift. This guy Sam Sulek comes to mind. What's so special about this dude, in my opinion, is that he's posting relentlessly every day, his whole freaking life. The way he cooks his meals, the way he's preparing what he's eating, his drive to the gym, his workout at the gym, his pose afterwards, his drive home, and every freaking day. You know how long it must have taken this guy to blow up? Probably a while. But guess what? He was doing it every freaking day. He probably had no likes, no views, no subs for a long, long time. He kept doing it. That's why I know who he is. That's why somebody mentioned him on Joe Rogan the other day, and Joe Rogan now knows who he is. Relentlessness. Today, it's probably once you start to internalize this, what you're going to realize is that it's actually more possible to make it today than ever before if you can be this guy, this Mike Tyson mindset. You are undeniable because you are relentless. One makes the other true. So I write to the guy. All right. So he wrote back, yes, agreed, which I've had to adjust to because I grew up wanting to make albums before social media turbo-drived everything. I totally get that. All right. The social media changed everything. But guess what, man? You got to change with the times or you just got no choice to fail. That's all that will happen if you're going to stay thinking you can do what you did yesterday and, 2 years back and make it work. It's not going to work. The world has changed. Music has changed. The way it's delivered has changed. Everyone's attention span has changed. Everyone's desire for what makes somebody worth watching has changed. So listen. I write to him. Once you know that big thing I wrote above, all right, where where you have to keep going in the face of getting no likes, no love from nobody, and still believe in yourself, keep producing, keep doing it every day. Once you realize this, I say, once you realize that the road ahead is bumpy, but you just do that, do everything I said. Spend money only on making the best possible music you can and releasing it. Because ultimately, if the music isn't great and it doesn't sound great quality, that's what's going to ruin your chances. If the songs are great and the sound quality is great, then it will be undeniable for everyone that hears your stuff that you are worthy of breaking through and being on top. This is the ultimate truth. You should get some comfort knowing that all you have to do is have this undeniable mindset and follow through with it, right? And put out songs constantly, literally every day or as close to that as you can is best. In other words, if you can't do every day, then do whatever you can. I'm not saying fart out shitty songs. I'm saying you get done as much as you can possibly do. Don't look at it like you could take your time. You can't. You got to do as much as you can possibly do. And literally, I'm saying literally every day or as close to that as you can is best. This is the only path that I believe in today, and that's 100% true. But make no mistake, you are talented enough to do that, but so are a lot of people. But having the discipline and drive to do all that work and keep hitting publish on the face of no reward, I meant in the face of no reward, is what separates everyone else from the winners. Okay? Today. I'm not talking about 10 years ago. I'm not talking about if you're some cute girl who's gorgeous and has millions of dollars she can spend in ad revenue. I'm not talking about that. I don't mean ad revenue, spend on advertising. If you're some beautiful, Tate McRae, whatever, you could do certain things other people can't do. All right. But don't make no mistake. You don't know what she spent on ads and whatnot just to be able to get seen. It's not what you spent. It's not what you think you spent. It's not what normal people can spend. That's the point. It's not normal people money. It's millions. Okay? Or in her case, whatever it was, I don't know. But like I said, she's a young heartthrob thing. It's different. So now let's check this out. Okay, here we go. Most musicians have too much ego to keep putting themselves on the line every day while getting no results. That's literally all you have to do for an undetermined amount of time. That's why it's so scary for people, because they think, oh, what if I do all this? I don't get nothing. That's the point. You just didn't do it for long enough, all right? Or the quality of the work wasn't good enough. It can only be those two things. That's it. At least you know that. And I say, because you have the talent, this is a valid path for you to reach your goal. But it takes the Mike Tyson mindset to be able to do this constantly. Only a tiny portion of the world has your amount of talent in songwriting. This freaking guy writes great songs. Maybe 1%, I said. Of that 1%, I bet only 0.05% would even consider doing this path that I outlined. That's why it's so hard. That's why everyone foolishly thinks there's a shortcut. There's only a shortcut for those who have millions to billions of dollars to spend. And even then, it's not guaranteed without the quality music. But human nature makes everyone think the same doors are open to those who have normal people money. It doesn't exist. If it did, and this is the part I want you guys to really wrap your head around. If this existed, where any of these companies that say they get you streams and organic growth, if this was real, wouldn't everyone just be a famous musician? I mean, if it only costs a certain amount, why invest in stocks when you could just do this? And then everyone becomes famous. It doesn't exist. It's a pipe dream. The population doesn't seem to get that, I said. So these scam companies wind up getting paid by so many people. You are not alone. I wanted him to know he's not the only one. Don't feel bad. He says, right, I just question the quality of the stuff I can put out if I'm pumping things out mechanically every day, and the cost of other things like mastering. He would definitely have to use AI if he's doing it every day. And then here's where this is a normal thing people will say, and that's why I had to respond. I said, like I said, any sacrifice in quality makes your chances less likely, which would make the entire endeavor a waste of time. The one thing you need is good quality music. How it sounds is all that matters. And he says, like right now I'm doing this EP, he put a lot of attention to detail and time into it. So this is how I respond. I say, gas money to play shows doesn't matter. A nice car doesn't matter. Cable TV doesn't matter. Nothing matters but how the music sounds. You cut everything else, including BS comfort stuff, before you cut anything related to the quality of the product, the quality of the music. If you use AI, your product wouldn't be anywhere near as good by a long shot. So that wouldn't be smart, in my opinion. Because if you have somebody mix your stuff who's going to be creative with it, they may be adding something that you can't possibly get on your own, and you can't possibly get it by running it through Lander. Some bullshit. It's not the same. It's just not the same, especially in the mixing front, okay? Especially there. But producing, mixing, I mean, it's just not the same, okay? So, and then this is where I say, it doesn't have to be everyday music. It can be content creating the music. You can make content showing you creating the music on a daily basis. And then when the music releases, it can be content creating the music daily, and music releases when it's done. So in other words, you video yourself creating the content, and then you only put out the music when it's done. I'm not saying put it out before it's done or throw it through AI to put it out every day. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you got to turn into someone who puts out enough stuff to truly be worthy of the attention. Then you will get the attention. That's organic growth. This is what I mean by organic growth. And then he says, right, content, ideas, all this stuff is breaking my brain right now, coming up with this short form stuff. And I say, don't hurt yourself. And this is like, focus on this, guys. I say, don't hurt yourself. But you know what scares me more than failing? And I ask that question to him. Then I respond, having regrets that I never tried hard enough to succeed. So for me, it's more scary than failing if I have regrets that I never tried hard enough to succeed. Let that sink in. I realize that would be a pain worse than any death. And wondering if I didn't succeed because the quality of my music wasn't up to par would haunt me forever. Okay? This is stuff I think about all the freaking time. That's why you put all your energy into every song, as you are already doing, and you spend every dollar on making the quality as great as you possibly can. Then at least you know you'll have peace in the end, no matter what happens, no matter if you're successful or you're not, because at least then you know you did everything possible to make the music sound amazing, and you did everything possible in that you tried as hard as you possibly could to get as much out as you possibly can, knowing that what your goal is to literally do it every freaking day. Every day. Okay? And then he tells me he can't afford to spend, a certain amount of money. And I reply by saying, nothing I was saying is intending to be a pitch to get you to spend more money. Like, that's not the goal. I'm sharing my mindset so that you know what is needed for success today. In my opinion, of course. Some people can't write, record, and finish more than one song a month. Just doing truly as much as you can without fear stopping you from sharing yourself and your art with the world will make sure you have no regrets in the end. You can turn your phone camera on and film any or all of your daily creation process, which costs you nothing but the time to put the videos together, and it will create interest daily. And then you only release your finished products after the production is great, the mix is great, and the mastering is great. You need the music to sound as amazing as it can. The sound coming out of the speakers is what's going to make you get what you want. Nothing else matters. Trying to do everything yourself is not something that is beneficial to the music. And that's all that matters. If it comes out of the speaker sounding great, that gives everything you are doing a chance. If it doesn't sound great coming out of the speakers, nothing else you do and a million videos is not going to make a difference. So it all becomes a waste of time. I believe us working together creates a better sound and product than you working alone. I know you feel the same. If you didn't agree, you wouldn't continue hiring me as you do. Same reason every major artist, including Trent Reznor, Marilyn Manson, had a producer / mixer for everything they did. They didn't do it themselves, strictly because it sounded better with someone else doing those things. They certainly had the access to the equipment to do it, and anyone can do it. Not everyone can do it to the degree that a pro can do it. Adding that outside perspective and outside knowledge to put it all together is part of what made their music so great and kept the listeners happy and money coming in. So they wouldn't ever cut their nose to spite their face. That's the end of our conversation about this. Some people will hear what I'm saying and they'll think a few things. One thing they're going to think is, what about the sites that are real? What about the ones where they say, if your music's great enough, we'll accept it, and that's why you're getting all these streams? That's a marketing ploy like every other scam. They're saying to you, they're betting on the fact that you believe in your music enough to pay these guys to get you fake streams to inflate the numbers. Even if it's real streams, quote unquote, it's through some channel that once they catch on the Spotify end, this shit ain't gonna mean anything either. In other words, it may be a step up from the cheap hackers that Spotify can spot right away, but it's still worthless because it's not built in reality. Reality would be you put out enough stuff that you are worthy of attention. You make enough great music that people can't help but say, this guy's worth going to see. This guy's worth paying to buy his record, to buy his CD, pay for the downloads. This guy's worth buying a t-shirt. This guy's worth watching him on an interview. This guy's worth it because you built that up. If you think there's a number you can spend that's short of $1 million and get people thinking that, it doesn't exist. You're just betting on getting lucky that a record company, somebody's going to find you, which would happen without the millions of dollars you spent. So the point is, and this translates to 100,000, 50,000, 30,000, 20,000. It's all waste of money. It's all a waste for you to spend money on any site that's going to put you on a playlist to get you streams. It's a waste. If the music was really good enough, it would get there anyway. If it was consistent enough, it would get there anyway. This isn't true if you put out one song a month, one song a year. It ain't going to work. It has to be undeniable. You must be relentless. That's when you will make it, because no one else can stomach that. No one else can stomach it. It just reminds me of a good analogy. I got to drop it. Picture a rock climber, a guy who loves climbing mountains. Before social media, where was his like button? Why did he climb every day? Why? Because he loved it. It's the only reason. The dude had no like button, but he's climbing every day because he loves it. If you don't love what you're doing enough to do that, which is the same thing if you think about it, by putting shit out every day without likes, without views, without people giving a shit, you got to believe in yourself. You got to keep climbing the freaking mountain. Then you will break through eventually. It's too hard for most people. Is it too hard for you? Only time will tell. Evan Jaffe, Custom Cut Studios. Speak to you guys soon.